Our first speaker today is Owen Jusek, and his speech is called The Problem with Karens.
Okay, so I'm worried that my sister might become a Karen. So you see, me and her, we were doing chores one day, and I was cleaning the living room, and she was cleaning the kitchen. So she goes and rolls a basketball into the living room, which, if you didn't know, it's not really cleaning if you don't pick it up. So I tried to teach her that she had to pick it up and clean it up for it to be cleaning. So we go on, she's keeping arguing, and I finally pick up the ball and put it where it goes because I don't want to argue all the time. So this is a lot of what Karens do. They argue and argue and argue without even seeing the other point and even putting it anywhere near their mind. They shut it out, okay? So, yeah. So when I say Karen, I do not mean our wonderful Miss Martin here. If you haven't met her, she's quite the opposite of a Karen, actually, so yeah. And I also don't mean people who have the name Karen, excluding her as well, because they're not Karens just because of their name. What I do mean is people like this, with the classic Karen haircut here, and the ones that we always see in the memes. So if you hear a Karen or you're near one, you probably don't want to be near one, and you'll probably hear them. So it'll be pretty easy to avoid them, and you're going to want to avoid them. Because Karens, they would argue with you until the day that they died, without remorse at all, just because that is the type of person that they are. So if you're near a Karen, or if you hear one, I wouldn't go close to them. It's not very smart. So now I'm going to go, oh, wait. So here is a video of a Karen doing what they do. So as you can see, she's being quite the nuisance in this public area. He's definitely allowed to be skateboarding around, and she's just chasing him around, trying to get in his way. And it's not very successful, but it's still very annoying, and I definitely wouldn't want this to happen to me. So this is a lot of what Karens do. They're very annoying and they're very annoying. So don't be a Karen, guys. It's not very good. Now I'm going to talk about the history of Karens. So originally, each Karen had their own situation-specific name. Some were Permit Patty, Golf Cart Gail, Barbecue Becky, and Corner Store Caroline. So Permit Patty was a woman who called the police on a young black girl selling water, as she said, because she didn't have a permit. And Barbecue Becky called the police on a black man having a barbecue in a park. A lot of what these Karens, especially the ones I have exampled here, they have very racist tendencies, and some of them are blatantly racist, and they have no attempt to hide it at all. However, other Karens they do try to hide it, and they might lodge a complaint against a person of color in their company because they're racist and not because of a good reason. And these are what I think are the worst types of Karens. Now here's some Karen phrases that are quite entitled, I'd say. One is, I'd like to speak to the manager. Another is, do you know who I am? And third, that doesn't apply to me. So these phrases they show how entitled Karens are and how they think that their privilege gives them every right to do what they want, especially when they think that nothing applies to them. So this shows how Karens are very entitled and don't really care. So if you think that you're a Karen, you probably don't want to be a Karen after all of this. So here's some tips to not act like a Karen. So first, you have to catch yourself in the moment. If you think you're acting like a Karen, you need to catch yourself in that moment and actively make a decision to stop. So if you find yourself acting entitled, rude, then you need to think, is this argument worth it? Is there a clear reason for it, or are you just arguing for no good reason at all? And if you are for no good reason at all, then you're going to want to keep thinking of it in your everyday life. And if you do this and you catch yourself and you stop yourself every time, then you should hopefully work out that behavior. Now, for all the parents out here, you probably also don't want to raise a Karen, because that would be quite the predicament. So here's some tips on not raising a Karen. So if your kid is raised without a respect for authority, then they are probably going to grow into someone who acts somewhat like a Karen or just a Karen. So you're going to want to raise them with a respect for authority, showing them that they can't get whatever they want all the time, and that there's always someone that will be more powerful than them. So finally, don't be entitled, don't be rude, don't be selfish, don't be racist, and don't be a Karen.